Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. Thanks to the developer P-Cube and Jace Glover for writing most of this review. I'm sticking in a few little tidbits because I've played through most of the game with my kids. Remember, we give away a free Nintendo Switch game each month to the subscriber most active and engaged on the channel. I started playing video games at the age of 3 and I began learning my first musical instrument at the age of 8. It's safe to say that music and gaming are two of the most important influences in my life, shaping who I am today. When the two come together in a cohesive way, it is truly something special for me. Songbird Symphony is the latest title to take on a rhythm-based gameplay, but is it a harmonious experience or a cacophonous disaster? Let's find out. The story follows a small chick named Burb, who was found as an egg and raised by a peacock. The other peacock looked down on him for being different, and so Burb sets off on a journey to find out where he belongs and exactly what kind of bird he is. Not long into your adventure, you meet the owl, who tells Burb about an ancient artifact that, if repaired, will reveal who his parents are. With this in mind, the owl tasks Burb with learning new notes from the other birds in the world, as doing so is the only way to fix this artifact. Along the way, he encounters many interesting characters, both friendly and including a group of magpies constantly trying to stop his progress. The story is fairly generic, delving into topics such as self-worth, the true meaning of family, friendship, home, bullying, and overcoming adversity. It's not going to blow any minds or win any awards, but I particularly liked how the dialogue was delivered. And both Mark and I agreed that although seemingly aimed at a younger audience, it's one of those experiences that targets the inner child, and you end up feeling like a 10-year-old playing your Nintendo 64 in front of the CRT TV with a huge grin on your face. Overall, story scores 16 out of 20. Gameplay is split between two distinct sections, rhythm-based mini-games during the songs and puzzle platforming in between. The platforming sections involve travelling to various environments and finding musical notes, help the local wildlife, or solving puzzles. Aside from being able to sing any notes you've unlocked so far in your journey, your character only has a few tools at his disposal, which are all available right from the beginning. A single jump, which when held allows you to glide through the air, and then being able to push a single block around at any time. The puzzles themselves are quite simple, never getting more complex than moving 2 or 3 boxes around in the proper order so as to press a button, but all the while fitting the aesthetic and general mood of the game. The platforming feels fine, but similar to the puzzles, is not intended to be overly difficult. There's no real feeling of danger in the game, and nothing can kill you. A good example of this is early in the game when you go to jump on the head of a fish, as you would in, say, a Mario Brothers title, and it would die, and here the fish simply flops out of the water and gasps painfully for air, and then you end up helping it back in. That really sums up the game in one. Even the lava in the fiery mountains merely causes Burb to bounce off it at varying heights. In stark contrast to the simple platforming and puzzling are the rhythm sections. Every song is ranked with a letter score, and as such, all of these are designed to be played multiple times over in order to perfect them and reach that S rank. And they are the real draw for an adult audience, particularly ones that remember the glory of a game like PARAPPER the Rapper. Oh yes. As Burb learns new notes, these sections become naturally more difficult, but the game throws more curveballs your way as well. Each song in a chapter of the story will present a new way to follow along with the music. For example, the Cassowaries song, I hope I've said that right, has the notes falling from the top of the screen but blinking in and out of view, while the Kookaburras song has the notes traverse the screen in a large circle. At the end of each story section will be a melody that incorporates all of these methods. Some of these become crazily difficult, and even a music buff like myself struggled to barely break the B rank. I really appreciate that the developers found new ways to change up how songs are played, as it kept the mechanics fresh and interesting throughout, as it keeps it feeling charming and interesting rather than what it could have become, which is quite boring. Although these sections can be extremely challenging to perfect, The good news is that you can't actually fail. Regardless of how well you do, the story will continue to move forward at a good pace, following the theme of targeting a younger audience. It's great that all players can challenge themselves for higher scores while still being confident that perhaps the younger children playing this won't come crying in frustration when they can't get past a section. Tell that to my daughter, Jace. One very odd design choice is that during dialogue sections, any button press whatsoever will progress it forward, including the movement of the joystick. Bit strange. It forced me to basically take my hands completely off the controller so as not to miss any of the text. Now, when I looked at this game before I gave the review copy to Jace, I compared it to the New Zealand story. In some ways it is like that game. It has that charm that does make it feel like it was intended solely for younger children. It's really not. This is especially noticeable when you go into those song sections. They are, as Jace says, really difficult. They are super challenging, but it makes for a very nice juxtaposition between the more simple gameplay sections in between. Overall, between the two of us, we would give gameplay 17 out of 20. Just know what you're getting into. It's not an overly tough platform experience, but those in between sections really keep you on your toes. Both in terms of visuals and audio, the game is sickeningly sweet. The colours are vibrant and character designs and animations are humorous and quirky. The unique blend of retro 16-bit and hand-drawn visuals is interesting and fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed the environments all the way through. I especially adored Burb's dances whenever he would stop to listen to the music. The aesthetic here is certain to keep anyone engaged. Where the visuals fall down is during certain song segments. It might be just my old eyes, but there were some songs where the notes were presented in a way that was nearly impossible for me to follow. In terms of performance, the game runs beautifully, and I noticed no slowdown during my playtime. I absolutely loved the soundtrack in this game. The songs themselves are catchy, and when you have to play through them multiple times to meet those more challenging levels, and they really are challenging as I've said, it's that soundtrack that carried it. I love the way the birds don't actually sing the words, and like a karaoke, you're directed to listen to the musical note the bird is playing and in your head sing along with what they're saying. I love that. It's a nice little touch and definitely one that adults are going to appreciate. Each environment has its own track that will play on loop as you explore. These become deeper and layer on more sounds as you unlock musical notes in the area. So what this means is as you progress in a stage, the musical palette builds up in the background. It might start with maybe 1 or 2 drum sounds as you unlock one of them. By the end of the stage, you've got the drums that are still beating in the same rhythm, but you've got a guitar playing and some other instruments, an excellent touch, and one that would do very well for teaching young people about how musical scores are created. But for adults, it's just a delight to experience. The game is fairly short, so I never found I was in one place for too long, for the cycling of tracks to be annoying. And with the building up of the sound, you generally feel like there's enough change that instead of getting irritating, you're looking forward to the next part being added into the music. Now, Glenn and I are always talking about how we rate our scores based on what the developer intended. And I would say small little touches like animating the fish when he's out of water, or the way that the leaves move in the background on the trees, and even the parallax scrolling have been done to perfection. The mixture of hand-drawn and 16-bit, for my money, are exactly what the developer intended. I would give visuals 18 out of 20, while the audio is what the game is all about. And while some people might find some of the tunes and some of the noises a little more irritating, I would say that audio scores 16 out of 20. Songbird Symphony costs £13.99, €14.99 or $16.99. And this is where the game perhaps has overpriced itself a touch. At around $10, it would have been music to my ears. But at the asking price, it feels a little high. The game has some collectibles hidden throughout the levels, but even including those, I was able to find 100% of them and complete the story in just under 6 hours. While the songs will be repeated several times to try and receive the overall S score on all of them, with no leaderboards or in-game rewards to motivate the player, which is a real shame. It's a great game for children to play, and you can also get a second controller and both control the musical notes. If there's a particularly difficult song section, you can subtly help your kid out without them ever noticing, or your partner if they're not that musically inclined. Don't tell her, she doesn't know, she thinks she was amazing. Ouch. Overall value scores 14 out of 20. Songbird Symphony is an adorable and enjoyable, albeit slightly shorter experience, seemingly geared more towards younger children, but in actual fact providing a very good musical challenge for bigger kids, but never really feeling like you're in any real danger. The song segments will provide enough challenge for even the most hardcore fans. And if you're looking for potentially a more relaxed, upbeat and cheerful experience, then Songbird Symphony is going to be a game for you. Overall, it receives a SwitchUp score of 81%. Thanks so much to all the new subscribers, everyone that's followed us to 40,000 and hopefully beyond. And yeah, in the next video we'll be giving away a free game, so maybe hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. Thanks to our patrons who support us each month, and as always, for all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!